Hey, Marvin's back. What's up, Marvin?
I'm back, baby. Yep. What's up?
Dusty.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, folks. Episode 69. Nice. I think we should just end it here. That's it.
That's it.
The Harsh Language Podcast.
It was a good run.
Yeah, we made it to episode 69 and we ended it. As the good Lord
Legendary.
intended. Yeah.
That's right.
Nah, just kidding.
Legendary.
Yeah.
Many more to come, hopefully.
Many more. Know any movies I haven't still seen?
Yeah, it's crazy. We got a lot
More
of
than
work to do.
69.
It's not
Definitely.
good.
It is
a
not
lot
good.
more than 69. Yeah.
It is not
Especially
good.
because we only do it once a month. So,
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Make Marvin Watch.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Nah, we got more. We got a lot of work to do. I can't die until Marvin's seen every fucking thing. So we'll make it
All
happen.
right. Well, we'll keep Dan alive.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
fucking Futurama heads.
I was just gonna make
It'll
that
just be his
joke.
fucking head. Look at this.
I don't care if
Yo,
I have
what
to
up,
be a
Dan?
fucking head in a jar. I'll do it.
Mhm.
Upload my consciousness to AI or some shit.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah. So just going forward, folks, little housekeeping. Starting, well, today, since you'll be listening to this on Monday, and going forward, our weekly episodes are going to be released on Mondays, no longer
Yeah.
on Tuesdays. I guess they could still be on Tuesdays, but I don't know. I feel like we might as well just release them on Mondays.
Might as well get it out.
right?
Monday is good. I think Monday is good. Yeah.
Monday's probably good. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I can't imagine one day is going to make a difference.
Yeah. Probably not.
But yeah. So if that's a problem for anybody, I guess let us know. But I can't see it being an issue. So episodes every week going to be on Mondays. And we mentioned it last week. Website has been refreshed and updated. You go check that out, harshlanguage.tv for all our links. And we have merch now. So you can check
We
that
got
out
merch.
as well.
And, yeah. New merch, too.
Yeah, we're going to have some exclusive limited edition Harsh Language merch. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully it'll
sir.
be live by the time this episode airs, but I'm not sure. Waiting on some feedback. But I think they look good. I'm pretty excited about them.
They do look great.
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
So how was your guys' week? We didn't see you last week, Marvin.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Just busy.
Guys going
lot
to bed
going
at
on.
like fucking 8 o'clock at night and shit. Are you really
Yeah,
going to bed
yeah.
that early?
Nah, like around 10, 11.
That's early as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, not really, though.
How do you
For-
even game and
Wake up
shit?
early and get the grind going.
Yeah. I don't really game much. I'll game
that's it.
like a few
Over.
hours after work
Life is over.
because I get off at like 3:30. So, I mean, I got time in there.
Yeah. Speaking of merch, I broke my favorite fucking coffee mug that you guys always see me having, the one that says "World's Best Boss."
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Now
So now
I
you got to buy a harsh language one.
yeah, now I have no choice but to buy the Harsh Language official coffee mug.
Yep.
Knock it off the desk or drop it, put it in the dishwasher. What happened?
I was washing it in the sink and it slipped out of my hand. Actually, I was washing a plate and the plate slipped out of my hand and onto the mug, and both
Oh.
broke.
Yep. That'll
Yeah.
do
Oh,
it.
damn.
Yeah.
Worst timeline.
It didn't break. It was like a chip, but the chip was like right on the rim,
Mhm.
so I can't.
I'm
be
one of those
Ooh.
people. If it's chipped, it's going in the trash. Sorry.
Yeah, it is what it is. It had a good run.
All right.
So what did you guys get up to this week? Anything? Dusty, you and I just met a couple days ago, so
Yeah.
I had Japanese barbecue last night.
oh shit, how was
Nice.
that?
It's like Korean barbecue, but Japanese.
Beef and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, like spicy chicken.
Was it amazing?
It was great. Yeah,
Sounds pretty
So it was
great.
grill
It
it
was
yourself? Is that what-
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Hibachi stuff.
It was.
I like it.
Yeah, it was good though. Yeah, definitely worth. I ate so much meat. Crazy.
That's what she said. My dad and I are gonna go to dinner this week. We're gonna go hit up a fucking dumpling spot, get some soup dumplings. You ever have
Oh,
those?
okay. No,
They're dumplings with soup inside.
I like my dumplings crispy.
No, you don't even understand. These are life changing. They're fucking spiritual. Like,
Yeah, no, I believe it. I just
Yeah.
the texture of soft dumpling is a little weird for me.
I understand, but when you're slurping delicious broth out of it, it's different.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
so the soup is in the dumplings.
The soup is in the
dumplings
dumpling.
aren't in
Correct.
the soup.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
It is big. Yeah. It's crazy. I get excited just thinking about it.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm excited for that. How about you?
Is it like
Dustin?
super hot though? Like you gotta like
It's hot
bite the
at
tip
first.
off of it like a fucking
Yeah. So basically, from what I
pizza
understand,
roll?
kind of. You bite the tip off and then you just slurp it out.
See, I hate that. I mean, I don't. It's just annoying.
It's delicious though, Marvin. The
I
annoyance
can't be
is
waiting
worth
and
it.
blowing food and shit. I'm a grown ass man. I ain't got time for that.
Nah, I hear you. Like
Nah,
you
I'm just playing.
cutting up your chicken cutlets and shit so you don't choke.
I didn't do a whole lot. My roommate's been sick for like the last 3 or 4 days. I'm hoping I don't get it because I got to travel soon. But
Something's wrong
What's
with
he
me,
got?
dude.
COVID, the vid.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't think he took a test. I think he's out of the COVID test, so I'm not
Is
sure.
it flu season?
Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah.
Is your roommate a
Fall.
boomer by any chance?
No, he's like
No, he's a
2
teacher.
years older than me.
Yeah. my mother's sick.
Wait, isn't he a teacher?
Yeah.
Okay.
Coach
Is that
and
doxing?
I don't think so.
Um,
My mother's sick
Yeah.
and she refused. So boomers like refuse to like accept that they're sick when they're sick. So last weekend I wasn't feeling too well. I was a little under the weather. I don't know what was wrong with me. I had like a head cold. I didn't have like a cough or anything. And I'm still feeling it. I think I'm dealing with like seasonal allergies because it's starting to get cold. Like I'm real
a lot of
stuffy.
people going through that right now. Yeah.
And I haven't been sleeping great. Like, look at my fucking eyes. I got like fucking lack of sleep eyes. And but so like I wasn't feeling well, and the first night I was like, I went to go get the thermometer. She was like, "Oh, what's wrong? You're sick?" I'm like, yeah, I don't feel too good. And she's like, "Oh, I have a sore throat and a headache." I was like, "Oh fuck." Next day.
And she just didn't tell anyone.
No. Next day she was just like, "Oh, I feel fine," and then the next day, she has no fucking voice. She's like, I only have laryngitis. I'm like, take a fucking COVID test. She's like, I'm not sick. And she's just been like hacking all over the house all week. She still has no voice a week later. I'm just like, when are you going to accept the fact that you're sick? She's like, I feel fine. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
it's complete denial.
And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I don't know what it is about boomers. They just can't accept it. But yeah,
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
That's been my week. I've been fucking stuffy. Not good.
You watch any movies or shows?
No, other than I told you when we recorded the other day, I watched House of Usher, and I finished Only Murders in the Building.
Nice.
How about you,
Start
Marvin?
watching that.
Oh yeah, I was actually. Sorry to interrupt you, real quick. I was recently subjected to Pride and Prejudice. So
that sounds
that was
violent.
It was
subjected.
Rough. Yeah.
That's a violent word.
Friend of mine wanted me to watch it. I watched it, not by choice. It's like a fucking period piece. It's like it's a novel. Like it's like one of the most famous novels ever written. And
I've heard of the novel.
Yeah, I just found it very boring. But yeah, that's the only thing I've watched since we last got together. And briefly, Marvin, we were just talking about Dusty's roommate. You missed it last episode. I got another jump scare from his ass coming out of the shadows again. And it was
the shadow people.
It was a crazy one too, because at the time of the incident, I was looking at myself in the monitor here, and I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and somehow my brain just like combined the two images, and I thought somebody was coming up behind me.
On him.
Yeah. Shit was crazy. Anyway,
I finally got around to watching Jules.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How was that?
How's that
It's
one?
a pretty good little alien movie.
You don't remember that, Marvin? We were gonna put on the list. It's where like Ben Kingsley like adopts a fucking alien or some shit.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that one.
Was it good?
Alien crashes in his backyard and destroys his azaleas, and he tells everybody at City Hall, and then nobody will do anything because nobody believes him, so he just befriends it. Yeah, it's a good heartfelt movie. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Nice.
It's worth a watch.
How about you, Marvin? You watch anything?
Nope. I haven't been watching shit.
No?
But no.
Why don't you fill us
Been
in a little
reading-
bit?
What's up?
Oh, I was gonna. Well, go ahead. Continue what you were gonna say.
No, I just been reading. Just reading some manga.
Yeah.
Pretty
That's
much.
fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting back into reading manga again. Just because you can blaze through, it's just like reading a comic or something. You can just kind of blaze through it pretty quickly. So yeah,
Nice.
that's pretty much all I've been doing. Playing a little bit of Texas Chainsaw. That's still pretty fun.
Nice.
Yeah, but watching stuff, no, I'm pretty bad of that lately. I do want to get back into X-Files, but just gotta make the time for it.
Hey, I mean, listen. It'll always be there. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
that
don't
is
gotta
true.
rush it.
Yeah.
What
I
did
watched
you?
Old Dads too. That one's out. That's
Which one?
Pretty fun one. Old Dads. It's the new Bill Burr comedy. He's like a 45-year-old dad.
Oh, I see.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, and,
It's,
I saw the thumbnail
yeah.
for that.
Oh shit, that's
Pretty
fucking.
funny.
This Can't Get Right.
yeah.
So
Y'all know
Mark,
who that is? Can't Get Right.
I don't know, but it sounds funny.
You ever seen the movie Life?
Yeah,
So
I love that movie
Life-
with Eddie Murphy.
the guy,
Yeah,
Can't Get Right was the guy that got the jailer's daughter pregnant. He was also the guy that was like super good at baseball.
Yeah.
That's Can't Get Right.
Why don't I not remember that?
I don't know. I remember everything about that movie. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a great movie.
Mhm.
Classic comedy.
Oh, Bokeem Woodbine. Okay. Yeah. I like him.
Yeah.
He was in Spider-Man also, and he was really good in
That's
Fargo.
right.
Really good in Fargo.
Fargo.
He was in one of the seasons. I forget which season he was in. I think season 3, maybe. So Marvin, since you weren't
Yes.
here last time, why don't you let us know what'd you think of
Saint Maud.
Saint Maud?
Oh man, it was good. It was like a quick little watch. I don't know if I didn't dislike it.
Yeah. What'd you give it? You gave it a 6.5, I think.
I gave it yeah. It was it kept you on edge. It was a little weird, but I guess the ending was kind of paid off, I guess. Once you found out that you don't really find out that the lady was possessed, but you found out the Maud was possessed. So
Well, okay, so that's interesting that you took it literally.
well, I mean, it depends. Yeah, it depends on how you see it. I thought that Maud was possessed. The caretaker, that was her name, right? Maud.
But
So
no,
there's
interesting that you took it, what was happening, as literal. Because Dusty and I, that was pretty much the topic of our conversation, was that the film deliberately makes everything that's happening ambiguous, where it'll show you both sides of
Right.
the thing.
No, she was definitely fucked up.
like,
It was all her.
yeah,
For sure.
like, so the movie is either her having like severe mental illness.
Yeah, that was the debate: is dancing she's crazy
Oh.
versus is she actually talking to God and being spiritual?
No, I definitely think she was just crazy, and she thought she was
Talking to
talking
God.
to God. So it led to even worse, like psychosis and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, because it does a lot. There's a lot of interesting things that it does, like,
It's like justified psychosis in her mind, so it's even worse.
well, right, but
Maybe.
from the filmmaking perspective, just generally speaking, every time there's like an incident, you see the like the movie's told through her perspective for the most part, so you see things as she's seeing them and how she's experiencing them. But then you always
Yeah.
see like the outside perspective of it, which is brought home at the end with that smash cut where she is having that like glorious moment, and then it cuts to her burning like horrifically alive.
Yeah, that shit. I was like, there's no
Melted.
fucking way.
Yeah,
I
so
knew it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, even the voice of God was her voice. Well,
Yeah.
found
that
out afterwards.
that is an interesting thing that I read after the fact. It was the actress's voice that they just
Distorted or something.
distorted and whatnot.
Yeah, put it through a voice box.
which is a really cool
That's
creative
funny.
choice because it's in her own fucking head, right? That's happening.
Exactly.
But it's done so well. It's like meant to be ambiguous. So, but yeah, so you liked it.
I did. I thought it was perfect. It was good. It was like an hour and a half.
Wasn't what I expected.
It was definitely like a
that's for
slow
sure.
burn movie, but
Yeah,
it was cool.
But it really it does a good job putting you in her perspective too, giving that sense of like loneliness and like, you know,
Yeah.
depression and stuff that she's obviously going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's cool. I'm glad you liked it. It's not the movie I thought it was going to be, but I actually really enjoyed it.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know there was a Coney Island in
I didn't either. That's news.
fucking London or whatever the fuck.
That's news to me. They stole our shit. I want that shit back.
This is New York? Like, this ain't fucking New York.
Yeah, nah. I thought the same fucking thing. I was like, wait, what? Well, that's interesting though.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, quite the directorial debut from that one. So. And
that was that's good then. That's really good. Yeah, for sure.
And another A24 banger. Just another one, you know.
That was a good one. Yeah.
They just don't
her
stop.
sophomore movie, I don't think is getting as much praise as this one did, but I think it's still getting pretty good reviews.
Well, she has another movie out?
Not yet, no. I think it was at a film festival or something.
Oh, one of
where it
those.
was showed.
Mm.
Bleeding Guys.
Oh, Love Lies Bleeding.
Yeah.
A romance fueled by ego, desire, and the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn, that movie's got quite a cast. Kristen Stewart, Jenna
Keep
Malone,
going. I'll be right back.
Ed Harris, Dave Franco. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, might have to put that one on the list. See how she does.
Yeah. So we just recorded recently. I'm sure there's not much, but what kind of news you got for us this week? Let's get into some news.
Yeah, we got a little bit of news. The SAG-AFTRA strike is hit 101 days.
Yep, sure has.
Damn.
Now, the WA strike lasted 148, so they're still not quite to where the writers got to, but
right.
Apparently some of them got together worried about long-term harm of the strike on struggling actors. Some of the biggest names in the industry got on a Zoom call with SAG-AFTRA leaders and pledged $150 million over 3 years. And they also talked about removing the cap on union dues to allow the guild to bring in more money so that they can get money to the lower paid actors better and faster, I guess. And I think it was Deadline that reported on this, and they had a list of some of the actors: George Clooney, Scarlett Johansson, Kerry Washington, Tyler Perry, Bradley Cooper, Meryl Streep, Jennifer Aniston, Robert De Niro, Ben Affleck, Laura Dern, Emma Stone, Reese Witherspoon, Ryan Reynolds, and Ariana DeBose. So, yeah, they got together to talk about that. And then Halloween, coming up right around the corner, the SAG-AFTRA put out some guidelines on dressing up in Halloween costumes.
Yep.
They were telling people they couldn't dress up as characters from shows that are being striked against. And Ryan Reynolds, who was in this meeting, actually took to Twitter to joke, "I can't wait to call my daughter a scab when she dresses up as Daredevil."
Yeah.
So they revised their guidelines to say, all right, the kids can dress up however they want. And if you guys want to dress up, just keep it, keep it plain, like be a skeleton or a ghost or a generic witch or something. And if you do dress up, just don't post it on social media. And that's where the guidelines should be. Dress up with whoever the fuck you want to be. Just don't post it on social media. Of course, you run into the problem like, oh, I saw Ryan Reynolds was dressed up as Daredevil. Look at, he's not taking the strike seriously. So
speaking of,
it seems pretty petty and silly to have that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's.
Speaking of celebrities in Halloween, I saw an image. It's an older image because I've seen it before, but it just like popped back up, and it was like of Paul Rudd trick-or-treating with his daughter, and she's dressed up as Wasp, and he's dressed up as Weird Al. But it's just funny because like she's dressed up as the Wasp, and he's not dressed up as Ant-Man, despite having played Ant-Man.
Right. Yeah.
And he looked pretty funny as Weird Al.
He would have been giant Ant-Man in that situation too.
Yeah. I love Paul Rudd.
Yeah, SAG-AFTRA and the studios are reportedly going to return to negotiations on Tuesday, October 24th. They walked away. The studios walked away. They PTP after what they call ridiculous demands of SAG-AFTRA. So hopefully they'll come to a conclusion, but who knows?
Fuck it, go as
That's
long
really
as you
all
need
that's
to go.
going on. Yeah,
Milk
really all
them.
that's going on with the strike. In the should reboots get made and is Hollywood running out of ideas segment?
Yes.
Are they really worth it? The Hollywood Reporter did a deep dive into like the last 10 years of shows that have been greenlit and subsequently canceled. And in the past decade, revivals only average about 3 seasons, where their original counterparts average 8+ year runs. So they're trying to bring these old shows back, and they're just not making it.
Like
So,
what?
I guess Frasier would be one of the more recent.
Oh yeah,
I mean, shows
Frasier.
that have been canceled after 3 seasons. Well, Frasier just started, so we don't know, but
It's not gonna make it.
I didn't really look at the list of
I can't imagine
shows.
there's an outcry for a Frasier reboot. You know, and they're like, it really is actually crazy. Like, we're rebooting The Office, they're rebooting this, they're rebooting that. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ already.
So
Sad.
It is sad.
well, on to WB. We only got one little piece of news here because they still nothing from David Zaslav or Warner Brothers Discovery or anything of that nature. But Matthew Vaughn was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, and he confirmed rumors that Gunn and Safran have reached out to him about helming a DC project. He would not confirm that it was the Authority movie, but he was kind of hopeful that it might be. He said you never know. That was the rumored project he was supposed to be involved in. He also talked about some other stuff about how Marvel should do less with more, make fewer movies. He talked about the superhero fatigue and stuff. So you want to sit down and listen to that podcast. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, that's really all the WB news.
Okay, yeah, that's big though, because Matthew Vaughn is the fucking man.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Authority is the project that people are hoping he'll take up, but that's like one of Peter Gunn's pet projects. It's one he's really excited about. So we'll see where it goes.
For those of you that don't know, Matthew Vaughn is the director of such comic book movie gems as Kick-Ass, Part 1 and 2, and Kingsman, the Kingsman films.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Including the prequel, The King's Man.
Yep. Which that one was
I've
good.
only
It
seen like
wasn't
the
as good as
original
the Kingsman.
Kingsman. I feel like
The original Kingsman's so fucking good.
that's the one with Samuel Jackson, right? Where he was blowing people's heads up.
Yeah, he was the villain.
That shit was so funny. His voice in that was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what he did have.
He had like the light voice with like a lisp or something. I want to say.
Yeah.
Like a Mike Tyson type fucking voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you seen Kick-Ass, Marvin?
Yeah.
Ah, so good.
Long time ago though, I couldn't tell you what it was about.
Okay. It's just about a guy being a vigilante, basically, but it's good.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
We actually got an official confirmation now that we're on to Disney, much to Dan's chagrin. Feige confirms that movies and TV series created by such studios as Fox, Sony, Netflix, et al. Are canon to the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
In a
Oh
multiversal
shit!
capacity, of course.
He just fucking destroyed you, Dan.
He literally just said what I've been saying.
In his forward to the Marvel Studios, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, an official timeline, he states only
the sacred
on the multiverse note. Yeah, on the multiverse note, we recognize that there are stories, movies, and series that are canonical to Marvel, but were created by different storytellers during different periods of Marvel's history. The timeline presented in this book is specific to the MCU's sacred timeline through Phase 4.
Mm-hmm.
But as we move forward and dive deeper into the multiverse saga, you never know when timelines may just crash or converge. Hint, hint, spoiler alert. So that's in the forward of the book that he wrote out. So
yeah.
What's that book?
It's called the Marvel Cinematic Universe, an official timeline.
Oh my god, I can't wait to read that.
Are you actually going to read it?
Yeah, he goes.
Yeah, then I don't have to.
That's true.
It's like
Well,
a
it's only through
refresher.
It's only through Phase 4. So yeah, if you don't want to watch all the movies and shows that went through all first four phases,
I'm definitely missed some shows in there.
Yeah,
I imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in your news.
Peggy Carter was pretty good.
I don't know if it's in your news, but he had another thing that he said that people are like blowing way out of proportion. I don't know if it's people or Collider specifically. Collider is like a fucking trash tabloid, but for like movie news. I get their fucking suggestions all the time. and he made a comment that very loosely was like, "Oh yeah," and he's been saying this, the fucking Secret Wars is gonna sort of be a soft reboot for the MCU. And he's been saying that. And we all know that that's going to be the case, which is like a soft reboot, meaning like the MCU is going to be different going forward. Like a lot of the older characters are no longer there. We all know that. But
they're back.
Well, he said it again. And now I saw like 15 Collider articles that's like, who should play fucking Captain?
It's like CBR. Yeah.
Who should play Steve Rogers in the MCU reboot? And it's like, they had fucking Stephen Wynn, who's like Asian. Like, why would he play Steve Rogers? It doesn't even make any fucking sense.
Yeah, some of those websites, it feels like they just have AI write clickbait articles of like
it's
the
so
top 10
stupid.
best actors to play this role, and then they post pictures and what movies they were in.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
not even really an article.
Stephen Wynn should play fucking Steve Rogers. Like what? But I thought that was funny because everybody's like, "Oh, they're rebooting. Who's coming back?" It's like that's not what he means, guys.
None of those actors want to come back. I don't think. Like, most of them are happy to be done with it.
When I said come back, I meant the characters, not the actors.
Yeah. Well, that's what people hope the actors will come back, but they need to reboot it and bring in new young actors so they can do another 10-year run.
I still think we're gonna get a Robert Downey Jr. We'll get cameos in Secret Wars for sure.
Oh yeah. The Marvels is now tracking to make about 75-80 million, which is about half of what Captain Marvel made, and it went on to make $1 billion worldwide.
Oh yeah, that comes out soon,
part of
right?
the reason comes out November 10th. But some of the reasons that they're saying, like some independent analysts are saying that movie studios are down like 30%, and they will continue to be through the next year because actors
that fatigue.
Have no promotion. Well, they have no promotion because of the strike's been going on, and there's also superhero fatigue or even mid fatigue is what we call it. So, yeah, it's not looking like it's going to be as big as the first Captain Marvel movie, but who knows? Yeah. And then the last piece of Disney news: Werewolf by Night director Michael Giacchino. Michael Giacchino. He acknowledged that there's been talks of doing a follow-up to the Marvel special presentation. He described the ideas he's been floating around as crazy and nuts, but the show hasn't been greenlit yet, so he's just gonna have to, sit on those ideas and stir up some
crazy and nuts.
Crazy and nuts.
Yeah,
that is
crazy and nuts.
That's wild.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, the first one was pretty good. The colorized version is out now. Did you guys watch it? You go back and watch it yet?
No, I
didn't.
I
it's out
really
on
liked
Disney
it.
Plus now. Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to watch it in color.
Yeah, I don't know. I was on the fence, but I feel like if I'm going to rewatch it, I'm going to watch the color version and see how it's different.
Yeah, I just don't think it'll hit the same.
Right.
Yeah.
It might.
It will.
I don't know.
So
but
who knows?
part of its like personality was that it was in black and white,
Yep.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Well, that's how they escaped by the rating as well, because of the blood. So it'll be interesting to see what they do within this one if they change the rating, which is only on Disney Plus, so maybe they don't care, but who knows? Yeah. And then on everything else, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, is 2 hours and 13 minutes long.
Okay.
Or short.
Bad.
However, you are as a Zack Snyder fan.
He's got a fucking 17-hour cut, though. He loves those director's cuts, boy.
I actually thought it would be closer to 2:45 or 3 hours, so I was surprised when it was.
Did you watch the new trailer?
No, I have not.
It's got like a fucking Anthony Hopkins voiceover because he's in it, and he just literally is basically Odin. It's like, it's so funny, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And then a little sad news, a show that Dan and I used to watch sometimes together. The Problem with Jon Stewart has been canceled.
No.
Before production of the third season could even start, the weird thing about this is they're saying this is because creative differences between the show and the studio. Apparently, Apple was concerned with some of the content that didn't align with the company's views. Mainly,
imagine that,
topics covering China and
Ah.
AI,
Ah.
which Apple has a huge business with China. So this kind of makes sense that
yeah.
if Jon Stewart's going to do a show that just shits all over China, Apple's not going to be happy about that because they make a lot of money over there. So, but yeah, they everybody was getting ready to, I guess, start production, and they just were told recently that it was on hold indefinitely, and then it was, I guess, it's been canceled. He walked away from it. So
Maybe he'll run for
Good. Good for
president
him.
like everybody wants.
maybe, who knows? Well, I don't know that everybody does, but it would be an interesting choice.
Everybody who matters does. He doesn't want to, though. He's made it very clear.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last piece of news: Steven Spielberg,
Always with-
not just
Oh,
the GOAT director.
Mm.
He's also a great writer and producer, and he's been working on the spiritual successor to the Band of Brothers. Marvin, doubt you've seen that.
no, I haven't. Yeah, that's one of the ones I have not seen.
One of the
That's
best
a-
shows
it's a
ever
series,
made.
but it's still really good. Yeah, he reteamed with producers Tom Hanks and Gary Goetzman to develop Masters of the Air. It follows the lives of the 100th Bombardment Group during World War II, better known as the American 8th Air Force.
The Pacific was
they
quite good,
joined-
too.
More
Yeah, the
war
Pacific was really
propaganda. Good.
This was World War II. It's about the Americans that helped fight the Nazis over there in Europe in air battles. So yeah, the first 2 episodes air January 26th on Apple TV, and then it'll be a week release after that. It's 9 total episodes starring Austin Butler, Barry Keoghan, Sawyer Spielberg, and Lauren McQueen, Callum Turner, just to name a few. So yeah, that a good one to look forward to. I'm actually looking forward to that one. So
No
yeah, that's
shot.
the news.
It'll be as good as Band of Brothers, but we'll see.
You don't know?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't
This
know.
one I think is more real life. Band of Brothers was not necessarily based on
Yes,
an
it was.
actual. Was it?
Mhm.
I thought this one was more like the real life story of these guys, where Band of Brothers was a little more fictionalized story.
I mean, I'm sure there's some dramatizations, but it's based off of the book, the nonfiction book of the same
Right.
name. It's about the, Easy Company, 2nd Battalion. They were real. You could see interviews from all those guys, like the real guys, on YouTube. It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, any series like that, it's going to obviously dramatize some of the shit that happened for sure. I don't know like how dramatized it is. I would imagine it's
Right.
like pretty accurate because again, it's based off of a book that was like written, I'm pretty sure, by one of the guys from Easy Company.
I don't remember.
Stephen E. Ambrose. Oh no, he's a historian. Okay, so I don't know. But good segue, Steven Spielberg segue. As always, thank you for the news. Thank you for the excellent segue.
He's getting good with the segues.
He is, yeah.
It's getting real good.
At first, I thought they were happening by accident, but now I realize it's on
Nah, he's
purpose.
the fucking architect.
The architect, yeah. So let's get into today's movie. It's Poltergeist, not that fucking bullshit remake from a couple years. I don't know when it came
I've never
out.
seen the remake. I didn't even know it existed.
I didn't either, but I know it is not popular.
I almost clicked
yeah.
it by mistake.
Did you actually? That would have been
like a 4.2.
But now it's like, this one says 1980, so this has got to be the right one.
That
Yeah.
what a travesty that
82.
would have been had you watched the wrong one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 1982. Now, Marvin, obviously, we
The
currently
summer of Spielberg.
we currently
Oh.
live in an era where the box office is driven, and some would say dominated, by blockbusters these days.
Mhm,
But in
mhm.
1982, a blockbuster was a pretty big deal, especially coming from a filmmaker of Steven Spielberg's caliber. Remember, at this point, he had already released Jaws, which invented the term blockbuster,
Oh, shit.
but he was at that point still regarded as like one of the fucking heavy hitters. So for heavy hitter
Yeah.
to like those type of directors back then, the heavy hitters were putting out like fucking like masterful movies.
Right.
So to be putting out blockbusters was sort of a rarity back then. And you know, the movie theater experience was different than it is now. It was just like a different type of thing. But as Dusty just said, 40 years ago, the GOAT, Steven Spielberg, he released not one, but two big movies that were a week apart. E.T. and this movie right here, Poltergeist.
Wow.
They were a diversion of the
What a
same
legend.
story that he was meddling around with.
Yep.
You got that in your notes? Yeah.
Both films were critical and
Oh,
box
really?
office successes. Yep. And further cemented Mr. Spielberg as the king of the Hollywood blockbuster. Poltergeist ended up being the highest grossing horror film of 1982 and the year's 8th highest grossing movie overall. And it also earned 3 Academy Award nominations for original score, special effects editing, visual effects, and it lost all of them to the other movie he released a week earlier, E.T.
Yeah.
And this became known as the Summer of Spielberg.
Nice.
But yes, as Dusty mentioned, Steven Spielberg at the time, E.T. was like the most personal project he had ever done. I'm assuming now The Fabelmans probably is, but E.T. was sort of created based off of his experience with his parents getting divorced. You've seen E.T., Marvin, right? You had to have seen E.T. Okay.
Yeah. At least once.
Oh, God. So, yeah, E.T. in that, E.T., the alien is sort of like the father figure to Elliot, who is like young little Steven Spielberg. And Poltergeist is sort of another take on that, but it's more so about like really suburban familial life back then.
Well, he broke his story into 2. So after Close Encounters, he had a movie idea where he wanted to do a movie where a family in a small suburban town was being, threatened by these aliens that were just stuck around. So it'd be like if they stayed around in Close Encounters, they were being like victimized by these aliens. It was a story, I think, called Night Skies is what he was writing up. But then he had this idea of like, well, what if instead of the aliens were bad, what if it was like a foreign exchange student type deal? So that's where like the idea of E.T. came in. It was like it's a good alien and all that stuff. And he still wanted to do like the small suburban scary thing, but instead of using aliens, he decided to use ghosts instead. So this is actually a divergent of one story that he had in mind that he split into 2 movies. Yeah. The only reason he didn't direct this one is because he was under contract with E.T. and he couldn't direct any other movies. Although
did he not direct
say
it?
He was. Yeah, some say he was the director. It's conflicting
there's
stories.
Quite a controversy surrounding this film. Steven Spielberg did write it. It was officially directed by Tobe Hooper, as you now know, Marvin. We've talked about him a lot. He directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's one of the godfathers of horror. But this movie is considered a Steven Spielberg film.
Yes.
Again, although his level of involvement has been debated for decades, he conceived the story, he co-wrote the script, he co-produced. But as Dusty just briefly mentioned, he was already at work making E.T., and a clause in his contract forbid him from directing another film while still in production with E.T. So Tobe Hooper was brought on to direct. But there are varying accounts on who had creative control. Some people proclaiming Spielberg as co-director. Co-producer Frank Marshall insisted that Spielberg was the creative force of the movie, but in some interviews from 2012, several cast and crew members credited Tobe Hooper. So it's a bit up in the air, but personally, I think watching this movie, controversy aside, you could tell that this movie has Steven Spielberg's fingerprints all over it. Like,
oh yeah,
it is very much a Spielberg movie. So if I had to guess, he was probably working on this movie under the radar, trying not to get in trouble.
Yep.
So not only is Poltergeist regarded as one of the most terrifying horror films of all time, it's also known as the most cursed film in Hollywood, Marvin. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So it stars America's Dad, Craig T. Nelson, JoBeth Williams, Heather O'Rourke, Beatrice Straight, Oliver Robbins, who's the kid with fucking 2 fucking fangs for teeth, Dominique Dunn, and Zelda Rubinstein, who can't be forgotten as the great Tangina. And this is the story of a suburban family whose home becomes haunted by a group of less than friendly ghosts. And their daughter, Carol Ann, gets fucking sucked into the wall.
Yep.
And then pretty much boom goes the dynamite. So you had never seen this, right, Marvin?
Nope.
This isn't officially a Make Marvin watch, but I guess it kind of is because you haven't seen it and it's a classic and probably would have ended up on the list. But what'd you think, Marvin? It's a little old. I know you don't like old movies.
That wasn't the issue for me.
Oh.
I enjoyed the movie, but I don't think it was scary. Like
no, it's not scary
whatsoever.
I'm gonna tell you something.
It definitely had like some like fucking like Gremlins vibes or something because it was like more funny.
Yep, it's definitely Gremlin. That's why I say Spielberg's fingerprints are all over it, because
it had that vibe for sure.
Like Tobe Hooper ain't making fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And then there's no way. Like this is way too friendly and like funny.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny. It definitely was funny.
Yeah, I mean, there's some creepy parts. Like, there's some scary parts.
Yeah, there's some creep. Yeah.
You know, the scene where that fucking guy, the scientist, fucking is like, fucking ripping his face apart and shit.
Yeah, that shit. Like, that was good practical effects.
Yeah, it
had a lot of those throughout.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, it's not beyond Steven Spielberg to do effects like that. Like in Indiana Jones, you had the fucking guys melting and shit. So, you know, but yeah, there's some creepy moments. But I'll tell you what, Marvin, Poltergeist Part 2, The Other Side from 1986, has quite possibly one of the scariest horror movie villains in the history of horror movies.
Really?
And somebody that I'm fucking still scared of today. Every time I see his face, I get creeped out. And that is Henry Kane, played by Julian Beck. Fucking watch the second one or look at video of Kane. He is fucking scary. The actor who played him had cancer at the time of filming, and he does not look well in this movie, but
so it makes for
oh my god, it is fucking Reverend Kane.
Damn.
He is scary
really
as fuck.
Special makeup, and he just looked that way.
Yeah. I'll be scared of that motherfucker till the day I die.
Yeah.
But yeah, on its own, the first Poltergeist, it's not really that scary of a movie. There's some creepy stuff that goes on, but
it was good though.
Yeah,
but it definitely wasn't scary.
Yeah, I mean,
how much was Stranger Things influenced by fucking Poltergeist?
Well, that's something I was gonna say. Right, we talk about it all the time.
I feel like it had a lot of influence on it.
We talk about.
I mean, this movie had influence on a lot of movies and shows since it came out.
I was just gonna say,
I'm sure
we've talked about it many times that Spielberg's impact on the history of cinema is immeasurable. But his contribution to the horror genre, I feel like, isn't praised as often as it deserves to be, because this movie really established the framework for like ghost-related or like haunting-related stories to this day. Like you see so much of it in pretty much like every fucking horror movie that has to do with ghosts. Fucking Insidious, The Conjuring, you fucking name it. If there's ghosts involved, like it's pulling shit from this movie. And I even made the joke about it. Matter of fact, when we watched the Alien movie a couple weeks ago, where I made the joke that
save you.
Yeah, anytime there's ghosts or aliens in a movie, it's always the same thing. It's like
basically, yeah.
It starts off kind of like slow and playful. The ghosts are like opening fucking cabinets and like rearranging shit, and moving chairs around, stacking shit up. And then slowly but surely it starts to escalate. And then the family realizes like, uh-oh, this shit is malicious. And then it just gets crazier and crazier. But like this movie's the framework for that, really. I mean, I don't think that could be denied. And, you know, Stranger Things, like, it's a very influential movie, and it has one of the most famous lines of dialogue in movie history. They're here. I'm sure you heard that before. There. Yeah, but you heard it.
I did. I've heard that before. I also, you know, the Scary Movie 2 the like funny parody movie. That
Yep.
scene, those two scenes were from this, which I didn't know.
The clown doll.
Yep.
The clown, which was like the guy's dick in Scary Movie, and then the girl gets fucked by the ghost in the fucking bed or whatever. Yeah.
No, the girl getting fucked by the ghost. That's from.
No, this was from Poltergeist. They just changed it to her being fucked instead of her just being drug up on the walls. It's the same thing. Like, you can go watch it. Like, he pulls up her fucking panties and she's got like a bush and he's like, ugh. And
yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Because there's another scene. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Well, there's a scene in Ghostbusters where
Dan Aykroyd's getting a blowjob from a ghost in his dream or some shit. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really influential stuff in this. And go ahead.
I thought the movie was great.
Yep.
There was some weirdness about like the shift from it being a little more serious to like the fucking caskets popping up, and I'm like, what? This really took like a crazy, wacky turn from like what it was before.
Yeah,
and then I felt like that last like 30 minutes or so after they thought they had gotten rid of whatever.
When the beast comes,
and people were just doing dumb shit just to be acting. Like, they're just like, I'm like, why is she not doing anything? She's just fucking trying to climb out of the pool in the most dramatic way. Like, I didn't like the just for them to be like acting instead of them being like smart people.
Well, listen, it was 1982, Marvin.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
It was 1982.
Like the kid screaming, like the girl, like the daughter was like, it's like she didn't have enough screen time, so they just at the end she's like screaming all crazily. It's just
really the powerhouse of this movie, in my opinion, is Zelda Rubinstein as Tangina, the medium, who comes in and she her character, like, talk about influences like and jokes like Ace Ventura, like he does Jim Carrey does like her impression in Ace Ventura when I don't know if you've seen Ace Ventura, Marvin.
Yep.
Remember when he goes in and he's like, I have exorcised the demon, this house is clear. Like, that's her. Yeah, she's great in this movie. I love her so much. Her little like mousy voice. She reminds me of my fucking grandmother.
Although it feels like a plot hole, you'd think she would know that the house wasn't clear if she was,
true,
really good medium. But
listen, Dusty, you can't put logic.
No, that's a good nitpick
on everything. I think one of my favorite things about this movie, and I think this is really the strength of it, is that it really, and this is like, I guess, the power of Steven Spielberg. It really showcases like accurately like what middle class suburban life is like or was like back then.
Yeah.
And a lot of horror movies, especially nowadays, you don't really get that. Not just the suburban thing. You don't get like horror movies are like they have the generally speaking the fault of not being really attached to reality. I'm thinking of movies like I mentioned, Insidious and Conjuring and like stuff like that. Like, they don't feel like very relatable because like I don't live in a fucking old house in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't fucking transcend in my fucking dreams and go to this like otherworldly place. Like you don't experience those things. And also I've never experienced like a vicious haunting, and I probably never will be because it's fake, goofy bullshit. And but like, as good as those two movies are that I'm mentioning, I'm using those as examples. Like, they are detached from reality in that I've never experienced those things. Where Poltergeist and some of his other films, it's all based on things we've all experienced. Like, I grew up in the suburbs. I know what that life is like, and the kids, and you probably have too. And I don't know, Dusty's fucking grew up in the woods or some shit. But no, I'm not making that as a joke. It's like different. I don't know if, like suburbs in different places are different, but this reminded me very much of like kind of where I grew up, where it's like, you know, your friends are like within like a 3-block radius and you're meeting up on bicycles and you're fucking climbing trees and you're doing stuff. So for something like this to happen in that type of a place is a lot more relatable and thus more effective. Similar to like Jaws. When we reviewed Jaws, I told you guys like my dad saw that movie when he was a fucking teenager. And I live on a fucking island. Like, I could walk to the fucking beach. So every motherfucker can relate to that shit. My dad said that people didn't fucking go swimming for, like, years after that movie came out.
Yeah.
Damn.
So that's, like, really where, like, I feel like...
I can see that.
I think that's the strength of Steven Spielberg in a lot of his work. Obviously, he has more fantastical stuff like Indiana Jones and E.T., but even E.T. is like another like suburban story because that's how he grew up. Same thing. Martin Scorsese does the same thing, to be fair. The reason he's obsessed with fucking mafia shit is because he grew up in fucking Brooklyn.
That's his life, yeah.
And his dad like grew up in Brooklyn, like early Brooklyn when like the fucking mob ruled everything. And like, so it's like, you know, they pull from their experiences. And I think we even saw that in The Fabelmans too. Like it's a very relatable movie, just like that, like familial fucking drama, and like it's just I don't know. It's the only way you could describe it is like a very Spielberg feel. Like it's a very specific thing, and like I just feel like it's so noticeable in this movie that there's just no way Tobe Hooper would like have 100% creative control over this movie. I just don't. I don't believe that for 1 second.
Nah, this was like. I mean, like actual story-wise, this was like night and day between like Texas Chainsaw and
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I love how in 80s movies, by the way, like characters are like in their 30s, but they look like they're 50. I laughed because
still don't understand that phenomenon.
When Craig T. Nelson's talking to the police, he's like, "Oh, my wife, she's 31. No, 32." And I'm like, "What? 32?
I'm like, what?
Yeah, hell fucking no. She looks like she's 50."
Well,
life was real
the weird
hard.
part of that
then.
too is their daughter is 16.
Yeah,
which means she was 15 when she got pregnant.
Did you? That's a little bizarre.
That's the math.
That is the math. You're right. Was she 16? Do they specifically mention that?
Yeah, because they were giving everybody's age. Like our oldest daughter is 16. Or whatever.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, there's a couple weird things like when the daughter goes outside and the construction guys are catcalling her and the mom's just laughing about it. It's like, come on now.
That's true. I did notice that as well, and I was laughing about it. Different time back then.
Different time.
Yes, it was.
Poor Craig T. Nelson, though. I can never just not see him as fucking coach. Yeah. Which is funny. Yeah, there was a show. It ran from like 1989 to like 1997 or something where he plays like a college football coach.
Coach of the Minnesota football team.
It was like a sitcom, and I only ever watched it because it used to be like reruns were on like TV. I don't even know.
Yeah. There wasn't much on. It was Coach and Night Court and a couple other shows.
He played Hayden Fox.
Yeah.
And I just like will always know him as Coach. Of course, he is the voice of, Mr. Incredible and does a bunch of other stuff. He's a great actor. But yeah, even him too. Like I was laughing at the scene too. Like they're just like smoking weed and he just has like weed all over the bed.
And what are you doing?
Yeah, they're like, I don't know. It was just, it's bizarre.
That was reefer. That was reefer.
That was that crazy shit. Because like they're acting like younger people, but they just don't look the part. But that's something that
at all, especially him.
Yeah, especially him. He's got fucking that bald spot. Like, not that you can't be bald in your 30s, but like he just doesn't look 30. I don't give a fuck.
All,
that was a pretty funny joke in Totally Killer, that movie that I was telling you about I watched last week on Amazon, where she goes back in time. Like the kids are like, she's eating edible brownies, and she's like, "There's weed in this."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Yeah, there's like a pound in that." She's like, "How come I don't feel anything?" Because she's from the present and she's used to smoking like weed nowadays.
Yeah.
So going back then and smoking the bad weed that they grew was
right.
It was nothing.
That's funny.
Another trope, Marvin, that we recently joked about. I said, remember we were talking about like why ghosts like are always obsessed with kids.
Yeah.
Hey, here it is. Like, there's another fucking. This started that. I mean, I'm sure if you dig into like real life paranormal fucking stuff, that's like a thing, but I would say it largely comes from this film because they explicitly explain like they are drawn to Carol Ann's life force because she's young.
That's right.
Well, she was born in the house.
Yeah, that's part of it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, she was born on the place where their graves were desecrated.
In later,
that had something to do with it.
In the later movies, I'm pretty sure they explained she has like a connection to the other side or some shit. I don't remember.
Yeah, but that was a nice little addition. Like the
house was built on an ancient burial site.
Not like even ancient. It was just a cemetery, or it used to be a cemetery.
I think it's like a Native American cemetery.
It was old Indian burial grounds.
No, he said it wasn't burial grounds. He said it was a cemetery.
Oh yeah,
because when they go up on top of the hill, he's like, he's like this beautiful view, and he looks behind him, and it's like it's a fucking cemetery, and it clicks in his head like, shit, our house is also on a cemetery. Yeah.
Our house is fucked.
There's some irony in that too, because the mom reported that Spielberg actually used real skeletons in the pool scenes because it was cheaper. It was cheaper than buying fake skeletons back then. That's never been substantiated.
That's sick.
It's part of the lore of
this
the
movie
curse.
Is cursed.
They use real skeletons in that scene.
Well, let's talk about the curse a little bit, Marvin. So, again, known as the most cursed film in Hollywood, it's shrouded in superstition following a handful of mysterious cast deaths. In 1982... the 1982 film's grim history has followed it through decades, even casting fear over the critically reviled 2015 remake. Many believe the Poltergeist curse began the same year the first movie was released. So Dominique Dunne, who played the older sister in this film, this was her film debut.
Mm-hmm. She
died a violent death shortly after the movie was released in 1983. And many believe the Poltergeist curse began at that point. She was strangled to death by her boyfriend, John Thomas Sweeney. And according to a New York Times article, she was put on life support after the attack, but passed away 5 days later. And Sweeney was later found guilty of voluntary manslaughter, according to a 1983 article from the Freelance Star. Then we have the actor I mentioned, Julian Beck. He played fucking the Doomsday cult leader Kane, who died next. He actually didn't even live to see the release of Poltergeist 2. He was 60 years old. He lost his battle to stomach cancer on September 14th, 1985, according to the New York Times. Then we had the third in the spooky string of deaths associated with the film. Will Sampson, who played a friendly ghost named Taylor in the second Poltergeist film. He died on June 3rd, 1987 at age 53 after an illness caused by a chronic degenerative condition, according to the Herald Journal. And then...
He did a seance after the filming of the second movie, too.
Did he? That I didn't actually read.
That was had nothing to do with the movie. It was the fucking around with the goddamn ghosts. That's what it was.
And then probably the most famous of all the deaths is the death of Carol Ann herself, Heather O'Rourke. The unexpected nature of her death, which led many to believe the Poltergeist curse was real. Obviously, she was an adorable little angelic girl, and her performance was great in this movie for being a little girl. I don't know how old she was in this. I'm assuming the age the character was 5 or 6. But I think she had a really good performance, especially with the delivery of that line, "They're here."
Yeah.
And it's largely her performance that makes this movie so iconic at the end of the day. She's the thing that like most people remember this movie for. But at 12 years old, she passed away suddenly. She died in surgery when doctors were attempting to repair an acute bowel obstruction caused by what was believed to be a long battle with Crohn's disease. But there's some like mystery involving that. Like she had, I forget what it's called, but it's something where like your, like vessels or like anything tubular in your body is constricted.
Oh, okay.
And it led to like sepsis and shit.
Yeah.
She had like a blockage, but generally when that is a case, it doesn't come on as quickly as it did for her. Like she got sick and died. Usually there's like a long, like dealing with
congenital intestinal abnormality is what they believed it was to be, but they misdiagnosed her because she wasn't feeling well. They thought she just had the flu.
Well, because she didn't have pre-existing symptoms that this disease would be associated with. Like you would have digestive issues like throughout your whole life. She never really had anything like that, according to reports. So it's a little bit bizarre. Who really knows? She wasn't like fucking murdered or anything. It's just like a weird medical thing. But tragically, she was pronounced dead after suffering septic shock on February 1st, 1988. She was only 12 years old, so that's really sad.
That is sad. That Poltergeist was on. Remember that show, Cursed Films? I don't know if you remember that, but it's like a documentary type show. It just shows, like, it just kind of goes through kind of like what you went through with different movies.
Right.
So like The Exorcist is up there, The Omen, Poltergeist, some other ones.
Passion of the Christ.
I don't know.
Allegedly, Jim Caviezel got fucking struck by lightning or some shit while he was doing the crucifixion scene. I don't believe it, but anyhow.
No, Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is up there.
Well, the Wizard of Oz is like the subject of like a long running fucking thing where there's a scene where you see like what is clearly like a fucking bird like coming down in the background, but for years everybody thought it was somebody hanging themselves on set.
Oh my God.
And then there's the one from 3 Men and a Baby where you apparently see a boy hiding behind the curtain. It's like the ghost that was on set. There's a lot of stories.
Oh, Rosemary's Baby is on this Cursed Films.
That's coming
season 2.
That's coming up next.
Yeah.
Next week. But the curse of the Poltergeist also affected the 2015 remake. So when it was rebooted in 2015, superstitious film buffs were quick to unearth rumors of the curse surrounding the film, starring Sam Rockwell and Rosemary DeWitt. The film may have been widely panned, but no cast members died. In a Reddit AMA, however, director Gil Keenan recalled Paranormal Activity, aggressive air quotes when I say that, during filming. Quote, lights that could turn on anywhere else in the neighborhood would blow out the second you try to light them on the set, Keenan wrote. Also, I used a lot of aerial drone photography in the film, and the drone pilots were never able to lock in the GPS signal in this field. We would have to move 10 feet away to launch the craft. How bizarre. So, yeah, probably not cursed. Unfortunately, there were a string of, deaths, 2 of which, 3 really counting her. They had issues. They were sick. And, I'm sure medical technology in 1982 was nowhere near what it is now. So you get misdiagnoses and lack of proper care. And, there you go. Yeah. Really also, the Dominique Dunn, who, she was fucking murdered by her boyfriend. Like, that's also tragic. But I don't see how any of that, means that the film is cursed. I guess it's bizarre that like all these people were involved in the same film, but like I'm sure you could look at other movies where it's like, oh, all the cast members died. People die. That's what happens.
That's true.
Sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very simple plot in this movie. House gets haunted, daughter gets sucked into the fucking nether realm or whatever, and the movie is a series of them trying to get her back, and she comes back, house gets sucked into the void, and that's that. That's all she wrote. Yeah. You got to watch the second one, Marvin. I'm telling you, fucking Henry Cain, boy. Whew, man, he's fucking scary, dude.
Yeah, I'll need to check it out then, because I did enjoy this.
Let me in. Let me in. Oh man. Whew. Bone chilling.
I don't know where I would rank this in my Spielberg tier list, but it's probably not as high as some of the others.
Yeah, when you deal with somebody like him, like we've talked about, that's like almost an impossible task.
Yeah.
Like the fucking guy made Schindler's
I wouldn't put it up
List
there as one of his greatest
sakes.
films, but yeah, as far as the importance of the film on every other
I mean, I love this
film
movie. I do think it's one of
Yeah.
the best horror movies ever made, despite it not being like super scary or like
Yeah.
in your face horror. Like there are some very effective things. Like it obviously did some pretty I won't say groundbreaking, but for the time it had some pretty good CGI, very Ghostbuster easy. A matter of fact,
Oh yeah.
I bet you if you looked it up, I would imagine the same fucking studio
Oh, yeah.
did the special effects for Ghostbusters that did this, because they came out around the same
Right.
time. But yeah, no, it's definitely up there. It's one of my favorite movies. I do watch it pretty often. Is it, one of his best movies? I don't know if you could say that. He, like I said, he's got so fucking many of them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I really, for me, it doesn't get much better than Jaws. Like Jaws is like fucking like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like, it really just doesn't get much better than Jaws. Like E.T. is great, obviously, Raiders of the Lost Ark, all that shit. But yeah, Jaws is fucking, it's like next level.
Yeah. Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park,
Oh.
Empires of the Sun.
Yeah.
Have you seen Empires of the Sun, Marvin?
I have not.
Ooh, that's a good movie. I mean, I think objectively his best movie is probably Schindler's List.
Oh, I haven't seen that either.
It's about World War II. He loves his World War II shit, Mr. Spielberg. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, iconic movie. Now that you've seen this, you're gonna go watch it and you're gonna be like, oh, okay, like I see where that's from. Okay,
Yeah.
I see where they pulled
True.
that shit from. I see where they pulled that from.
Yeah, you're right.
Poor Tobe Hooper.
Oh shit,
though.
he fucking did Saving Private Ryan. I didn't know that was.
Yeah, well, it was his work on Saving Private Ryan with Tom Hanks that led to them developing Band of Brothers
yeah.
together.
Wow.
Mhm.
Legend.
Tobe Hooper, if you want to watch some other of his stuff, gotta give him a shout out too. Can't just be sucking fucking sucking that Spielberg dick. Because Tobe Hooper's a legend in the genre as well, right? Like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's a fucking icon. That's like the gold standard. But he did the Salem's Lot TV miniseries, which is one of the better Stephen King adaptations. He did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which, isn't great. He's done work on Tales from the Crypt. He's been around the block, so give Toby some love.
Give him some love.
All right, people. And he was part of the Masters of Horror fucking TV series, which is great. The other thing I wanted to say too, real quick before we wrap up, going back to like the relatability of it and like the suburban life sort of thing, it very much like reminds me of Halloween in that way. It's one of the things I love the most about Halloween is that like it feels real. It's like a real place in Halloween. Like it reminded me of growing up and like going trick-or-treating and like just the feel of fall. Like I felt it the other day. I went outside. It wasn't like super cold, but it was like the air was like kind of crisp.
Yeah.
The trees are just barely starting to change and like Halloween is coming up and it's like
Nice. Yeah.
I just like I felt the movie in me. And this kind of has like a similar vibe. Like it's a very real feeling place.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Anything else you guys want to say about it before we wrap it up?
Great movie. If you haven't seen it, you definitely need to go and watch it. Or
Yeah,
not go and watch it, but just watch
go
it.
out to the theater to watch it. What's the fucking hilarious part of this movie? The kid's just getting eaten by the tree. You mentioned like some of the weird.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He's like, it's swallowing me. There's also a scene. This poor fucking kid. They did him dirty. He's got these two fucking fangs sticking out of his head.
His teeth are fucked up.
And there's a scene where he's silhouetted on the TV with the TV snow or whatever, and you just see like the shadow of his two teeth like sticking out. I was like, this poor fucking kid, dude. Oh man. But anyhow, it's got a good rating, 7.3. Might be a little bit of that legacy bias, but I would give it a 7.5. It's up there.
I would give it a 7. I thought it would be higher though. I thought people were regarding this one as like a higher rated one, but I guess not. 7 is, I would give it a 7.
Yeah.
I think it's worth a little bump. 7.5 is where I think it should be. Not good enough to be an 8, but still.
We're on the same page.
7.5.
We're on the same page.
Yep.
Yeah, I will say this movie did scare me when I was younger, for sure. So I guess
I can see that. I mean, I can see that. I feel like a lot of shit though scared me when I was younger.
Yeah, like what?
Well, this was before they did, PG-13. So like parents were taking, 6-year-olds to watch this shit.
That's funny. Yeah.
This is
That's
PG.
actually hilarious.
Yeah, this movie's PG, if you could believe it.
Yeah, that's like Star Wars showing the nipples.
Yeah.
That was PG. I will never forget that.
What nipples were in Star Wars? I don't even remember that.
It was one of the prequels.
Oh, the prequel nips.
It was a green alien.
Really?
That's all I remember with nips. Yeah,
I do not recall the nips. I have to go back and watch them.
Nips were out. Yeah,
The lady.
She was like one. She was like
in the diner. The musicians. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
One of the performers at the diner. I forget what the name of the bar was called. It's a famous bar.
She was like one of She was one of Jabba's slaves.
Yeah.
You know what this movie kind of reminds me of? Thinking about it, more than like a horror movie, it reminds me of like kind of like a ride at like a theme park. It's more of like,
especially with the fucking
fucking coffins popping
skeletons popping up everywhere. That shit was funny though.
Yeah, it's got more of that vibe to it. But that's what's cool about the horror genre. It's like always, it's ever evolving.
Yeah.
And ghost stories have, taken on a more extreme approach,
right?
Obviously recently, but that's the thing about like modern horror movies that I dislike, is that they're like, there's this need to like constantly fucking.
Who started the like funny horror stuff?
I don't know. There's a lot.
I'm thinking about
80s.
like. I'm trying to think. Because I know Raimi did some of it, right? Like Evil Dead had some of it.
Evil Dead 2 is probably largely responsible for that. Evil Dead 2 and Army of
Evil
Darkness.
Dead 2 was 87 though. Gremlins and Poltergeist were already like funny, and that was like early 80s.
Yeah, but Evil Dead 2 did it in a different way, because Evil Dead 2 is like still a horror movie. It's like very much a horror movie.
They went to that adult only.
Yeah.
Like it's scary and gory, but also funny. Like
I don't know if we talked about it, Marvin, but like Evil Dead 2 is essentially a remake of Evil Dead 1. Because
we did talk about it,
because he didn't have the rights to it, so he essentially just recreated the first one and kind of just added to it a little bit. And then decided just like, all right, let's make this fucking ridiculous. And then based off of the prowess of the fucking man, Bruce Campbell, it was like it worked. So but Evil Dead 2 is it's still like very much a horror movie. So that's like the big difference. But yeah, this feels like a fucking amusement park ride. But I love it. I love stuff like this. And what I was saying is like horror movies nowadays, like they I don't know, they always seem to like have this attempt to like be more and more extreme and like outdo the last thing and like
super serious.
Go for like shock value, and like, jump scares is like a cheap tactic, but jump scares do it too. It's like, all right, we got to evolve the jump scare, and like, how could we like, when really the most effective horror movies, as I've always said, are the simpler ones, the ones that are the most simple.
Yep.
And just that's, in my opinion, I wish horror movies would get back to that. Even like with Halloween, like the Halloween trilogy that just recently came out, the David Gordon Green ones, like,
it
was only Halloween in name. why if I ever talk about it, I'm like, it wasn't really Halloween because it was doing too much. It was just like,
Right.
his kills got more brutal. There's always that desire to like step it up. But that didn't exist back then. So
True.
yeah. But yeah, I agree with Dusty. Oh wait, here's a funny review though. 4 out of 10. A classic? Question mark.
Oh shit.
Poltergeist is a
Cook.
huge Spielberg classic or masterpiece, or at least it is supposed to be. I will say this to start off with. The special effects in Poltergeist are actually very cool and entertaining, especially for 1982.
Okay.
So that is one positive.
True.
Impressive creative special effects and visuals. Also, the cast did well with their source material. What's source material?
What?
But the big
Is it based
issue-
on a book?
No. But the big issue I took with this movie was the bad script and boring pacing and how terribly non-scary this is. It's so true that this movie has no scared at all. I did not jump once or feel scared or tense. Also, I just became bored many times throughout the movie. I was catching myself checking the time and wishing it would hurry the heck up. Just goes to show you that good acting and special effects cannot be the only good things in a film. It must have a well put together script and the pace must be timed correctly. And if you are creating a horror film, here's a little hint. Actually make it scary. 4 out of 10 for Poltergeist.
Damn. I mean, it was a little
Yeah.
bit long. I can agree with that. It was a little bit long,
A
but
little long, but whatever.
it
I
was
still
all
feel
right,
like
yeah.
this was made to scare kids than adults.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. 100%. It's got like a playful vibe to it,
Yeah.
Even like, which is why actually I think some of it works with like, because it has this playful little vibe, and then all of a sudden the dude's like ripping his fucking face off.
Yeah.
So like, it fucking plays with you a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Fuck this guy. 4 out of 10. Get out of here. Go watch fucking Saw or some shit, because that's what people like that want. They want to see fucking people fucking cutting their arms off and shit. Get
Probably.
out
Yeah.
of here with that shit.
Or they want to see something more or less like Conjuring.
Hey, listen, Conjuring's fucking great.
It's a
Conjuring.
little more sadistic.
I
know?
thought The Conjuring was scary as fuck. The first one. I love that movie.
It was. That's what I'm saying. He probably was. He wanted something more.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this ain't for you, buddy.
Can't please everybody.
But yeah, I agree with Dusty. If you haven't seen it, it's a must watch. Go watch it.
Oh yeah.
If you have seen it, let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Once again, website up and running. We've got all our links on there, some merch if you're into that sort of stuff. So a couple different ways to support the channel. But the best way to support is to subscribe if you have not done so already. We are very close. Some would say dangerously close.
Dangerously
to the
close.
500 subscriber mark on YouTube. We would love to hit that goal before the new year. So
Tell a friend about us.
Tell
You
a
know what I'm
friend.
saying?
Yeah, tell your parents. Let them know.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have not
second account, subscribe on that one.
if you have not subscribed, consider doing so. Leave a like on the video. All that bullshit you hear everywhere else. We would appreciate it. But next week is the Make Marvin Watch of the month.
The real one.
The final
The real
horror
one,
movie
yeah.
of October. Rosemary's
We got 5
Baby.
movies out of this month.
Yeah, we did. Can you
Crazy,
believe this
yeah.
motherfucker hasn't seen Rosemary's Baby? Oh my god. So yeah, join back with us next week. Remember, episodes will be on Mondays from now on.
That's right.
So check back next week for Rosemary's Baby, and we will catch you then. Thank you for hanging out with us this week. Catch you later, everybody.
See ya.
Basta.